Hi, Dan Paulson here. I'm going to do actually more than one verse here. I'm going to do a chunk. But there's a reason for it. I've been doing some verse interpretation, and a few people have jumped on board and have talked to me about doing their own search and looking for patterns. I used this group of verses from the Gospel of Philip from the Nag Hammadi the other day in an example, and I realized this set of verses really is rich with some fun stuff in it. And I would like to cover it a little bit more extensively and show what I see in there. I think it'll help people to make your own search. I see at least 3 layers of teaching going on here that I would like to share. And of course, that's theory, but I think it stands up. It's pretty repeatable and it's pretty visible. So this is stuff I'm looking at, trying to figure out what they're doing in antiquity. Nobody's teaching this stuff. We're just trying to look at it and go, what are they doing? Anyway, so this is it. I'm going to jump into the Nag Hammadi scriptures. I'll be using the version by Marvin Meyer, and I'll be pulling from the Gospel of Philip. And there's 3 chunks in there. Hidden parts, the root of evil, and ignorance is the mother of evil. I'm going to read the whole block to begin with, the whole start, and then I'm going to come back and we'll start taking section at a time and do an analysis of it and just kind of see what is all inside of there. As long as their insides are hidden, most beings in the world are alive and well. If their insides are exposed, they die, as is clear by the example of the visible part of a person. As long as a person's intestines are hidden, the person is alive. If intestines are exposed and come out, the person dies. Likewise, while its root is hidden, a tree sprouts and grows. If its root is exposed, the tree withers. So it is with all things produced in the world, not only with the visible, but also with the hidden. As long as the root of evil is hidden, it is strong. When it is recognized, it is undone, and if it is brought into the light, it dies. For this reason, the Word says, already the axe is laid at the root of the trees. It will not merely cut them down, for what is cut down sprouts up again. Rather, the axe will dig down until it cuts out the root. Jesus pulled out the root of the whole place, while others did it only in part. Let each of us also dig down after the root of evil within us and pull it out of our hearts from the root. It will be uprooted if we recognize it, but if we are ignorant of it, it takes root in us and produces fruit in our hearts. It dominates us. We are its slaves, and it takes us captive so that we do what we do not want and do not do what we want. It is powerful because we do not recognize it. As long as it exists, it stays active. Ignorance is the mother of all evil. Ignorance leads to death because those who come from ignorance neither were alive nor will be. But those in the truth will be perfect when all truth is revealed. For truth is like ignorance. While hidden, truth rests in itself, but when revealed and recognized, truth is praised in that it is stronger than ignorance and error. It gives freedom. The Word says, if you know the truth will make you free. Ignorance is a slave. Knowledge is freedom. If we know the truth, we shall find the fruit of truth within us. If we join with it, it will bring fulfillment. Okay, there'll be a few things we watch for, patterns. One of them is the one I've talked about before, that transition from outward looking to inward looking, how it's doing that. There's another one, though, that appears in here, and that is repetitive behavior that's going to happen as long as whatever motivates it is left in place. We're going to see that in there, as well as we're going to have to decode each verse to see what it's getting to inside as far as what we're supposed to do. And then we stack them all together, and they're an entire group of verses that's telling us to go through a procedure. All right, let me just get started. We'll go back to the first one. As long as the insides are hidden, most beings in the world are alive and well. If their insides are exposed, they die, as is clear by the example of the visible part of a person. As long as a person's intestines are hidden, the person is alive. If intestines are exposed and come out, the person dies. That's a pretty straight up example. There's nothing hidden right there. There's nothing nested in that. This is very bluntly letting us know that as long as we are intact and everything that is inside and it's not out and exposed, we're alive and moving along and functioning in life. And if something happens to emerge our insides to the outside, we're going to die. Then it moves on to likewise, while its root is hidden, a tree sprouts and grows. If its root is exposed, the tree withers. Now there's something that's being added in here. First of all, it says likewise, so they're both analogs that are carrying the same teaching. They're analogous to each other. Likewise, while its root is hidden, the tree sprouts and grows. So as long as the root of the tree is in the ground and covered up and not emerged, that tree is going to grow. However, if the root is exposed, the tree is going to die. Okay. All right, we're getting someplace. The tree will die if its root is exposed in the same way that the human would die if its intestines are exposed. Then it moves on. So it is with all things produced in the world. Everything in the world works the same way. Not only with the visible things, but the hidden things, the physical things and the spiritual things, the things that we can see, the things that we can't see, but they're still there. As long as the root of evil is hidden, it is strong. And I'm going to suggest here that evil can't be looked at as I am evil, I am doing something wrong, but I don't do those sorts of things. I'm just acting out because of something that happened to me. We have to treat the evil as whatever it is we're holding that is creating our life to be bad. Evil is a tough word because we might look at that and think, well, I'm not evil. I was a victim. Don't look at evil as that right there. Treat it as an analog that plays out in the psyche, that the evil is what you're holding that creates the evil in your life. As long as the root of that is hidden, it is strong. When it's recognized, it is undone. And if it is brought into the light, it dies. So they just did a big slam here. As long as the root of evil is hidden, it is strong. So whatever it is that we're hiding inside is strong as long as we're hiding it. Something that it's done here, though, is that it's told us that as long as the root of evil, the source of the evil, whatever the evil emerges from, is hidden, it remains strong. But when it is recognized, that is when it ceases to be. If it's brought into the light, it dies. So that kind of jumps ahead into a description of something, but let's keep moving along. It's going to keep adding to it. For this reason, the word, Matthew 3:10, says, already the axe is laid at the root of the trees. It will not merrily cut them down, for what is cut down sprouts up again. Rather, the axe will dig down until it cuts out the root. What's something important here that is going to emerge in the material as a patterned, as something that is patterned as well as something that is repetitive? You can see it in Greek mythology, rolling a boulder up and down a hill repeatedly that you can't solve, getting your liver eaten out, it grows back, getting it eaten out again. Having a tree grow up and it grows back repeatedly. Lao Tzu, if you're going to be doing the Tao Te Ching, the wheel that's circling around and around based on what is in the hub. All of these are going to be analogs carrying that same idea that that whatever the root is of what we're holding, whatever we've named it, whatever we've classified it, whatever it is that we're holding inside of us is going to continue to emerge repetitively. We're going to see that cyclically until we get out the root of it. We're starting to see that emerge in the teaching. Then it moves on to Jesus pulled out the root of the whole place while others did so only in part. So think about it. If you have a lot of stuff inside, you might only want to deal with one or two things. It's up to each person. We've been victims and we've been perpetrators. We might have guilt because of something that's happened to us or something we've done to somebody else that we need to make amends for. Whatever it is that is not okay in your life, that has to be resolved. And it says Jesus pulled out the root of the whole place. It sounds like you have the option of going in and just continually resolving things until you hit enlightenment, or just taking care of a couple of big issues and then going on with life. Let each of us also dig down after the root of evil within us and pull it out of our hearts from the root. It will be uprooted if we recognize it. But if we are ignorant of it, it takes root in us and produces fruit in our hearts. Hearts, this is one of those where I'm going to say we need to update that to psyche. The fruits that are being produced are the manifestations of our life actions, are what we're doing. Are we happy and joyous? Are we screaming and yelling? What is happening? We're looking at actually the bad fruits, the ones that are emerging that we recognize because we can see a pattern. We've got to the point we see a pattern and we recognize that we're holding something and that we have to go pull that out of our own heart from the root. We have to interact with it, which means we have to go pull it out from our memory, from our psyche. How do you pull it out of your heart? What is it? It is something that we are holding inside of us that is hurtful. We have to go make friends with it. It dominates us. We are its slaves, and it takes us captives so that we do what we do not want and do not do what we want. So there we are. When we're acting out, we're not in control. We're possessed. When that happens like that, you can look at it later and go, oh my God, I don't know what happened. I put holes in drywall. I screamed and yelled and kicked and threw and who knows what, all manner of things. And you look and go, what makes that happen? Yeah. We do things that we don't want to do. And then what the stuff we want, it's not working. It's telling us here, yeah, that's what happens if you don't take care of it. It is powerful because we do not recognize it. As long as it exists, it stays active. So as long as we leave it under its terms, it's going to continue to act out. Ignorance is the mother of all evil. Ignorance leads to death, because those who come from ignorance neither were alive nor will be. But those in truth will be perfect when all truth is revealed, for truth is like ignorance. That alive right there, I put that in. There's words missing from the text, and they added some in here that I put my own in, because I think what this means here is ignorance. When you are not aware of those things, that helps give them birth. Yeah, they're there. The mother of all evil. I don't know. Yeah, at this point in time, we are holding it and carrying it with us. We're protecting it. We don't know it. Ignorance leads to death, because those who come from ignorance neither were alive nor will be. That's why I used alive, because ignorance leads to death. Ignorance, spiritual death. That means I haven't been reborn. I don't feel alive. I'm not in charge of my life. I'm living life based on my global experience instead of what I want. I'm living my life based on how I'm judging the input that I'm getting in instead of stepping back from all of that. So you're not alive to begin with, spiritually. But those in the truth will be perfect when all truth is revealed. For truth is like ignorance. I got to finish the next line. While hidden, truth rests in itself. But when revealed and recognized, truth is praised in that it is stronger than ignorance and error. It gives freedom. Boy, the bottom line here, the truth rests within itself. Everything is in existence. The truth is there. Ignorance is there. If we maintain the ignorance, we don't see the truth. If we strip off the ignorance, the truth emerges. Think of it this way. Truth is the basic shell. Everything else exists within the truth. So when we don't have, the truth is there and it's resting within itself. But in the meantime, we've picked up ignorance and issues that we don't deal with. If we strip those off, we're left with the truth. And if you're on this path, it's just going to, and it will be stronger than ignorance and error. It will provide the capacity for you to change your life. It gives freedom. And then it finishes in the end. The word says, if you know the truth will make you free. Ignorance is a slave. Knowledge is freedom. If we know the truth, we shall find the fruit of truth within us. If we join with it, it will bring us fulfillment. Okay, joining with the truth within us. this is going to be something that is going to also be a common reference. We want to join our conscious and our subconscious. We want to have a marriage of the bride and the bridegroom in the wedding chamber. What we want to join with, what they're saying here is that we want to become from two back to one. This is another way. If we join with it, it will bring us fulfillment. Enter the kingdom of heaven within as a child. If a child is joined with themselves, they haven't deviated and become two, presumably, in this teaching. So if we join with that, we're essentially just doing the same thing. We want a marriage between our conscious and our subconscious. We don't want ourselves acting out anymore. We don't want to be split. We don't want that part of us that is screaming and yelling and freaking out. And if we join with the part of us that is truth, it will bring us fulfillment. So what did we have in this whole block right here? We're going to transition from outward looking to inward looking at the same time that we're learning that as long as something is hidden, it's going to survive. And it's going to cycle based on the root still being in place. And you must remove it by the root. Remaining ignorant of it will keep it emerging. Finding it and surfacing it, looking at it, the ignorance, they're not using light here, they're using ignorance, knowledge, truth. Metaphor and analog for the same thing of illuminating, bringing into the light, emerging, those sorts of things. We're basically, in all these cases, we're looking very specifically at the things that we don't want to look at. And if we do that and take care of the things that we're afraid of, instead of accepting the fact that we're afraid of it and going, I'm going to fix this, and doing that, it will bring us fulfillment. Nirvana, the kingdom of heaven within, living in the graces of God, it will bring us fulfillment. Higher eudaimonia, quality of life, all of that is there. This is that teaching, and those are the layers that are in there in this one chunk right here, if you see it. And the transition from outward to inward pattern, that has to be spotted by covering more material. Although it occurs a lot. I've already, this is my third one of these verses, and you see it in all three of them. I made sure to grab three to begin with, it where it is visible. It isn't all over the place. Not everywhere is it teaching you to transition inward. But that really coincides with the path, so it looks like it's a viable teaching to me, like it's a step or a layer that is actually there. It's telling us to do something, and it's making that transition out in each time. So yeah, look at it. I think it makes sense. And then the rest of it, how to find enlightenment, getting rid of the stuff you're carrying. And we're going to find that emerging in so many different ways. It's mind-boggling. That's all it's getting to all the time. Anyway, hope this video was fun. I enjoyed it. It's a fun verse. It's a fun block of verses because it actually contains quite a bit. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Love one another, and I'll see you in the next video.